Hi, I'm Tom. I run ACD Sleeve, the unique and custom music packaging company, which over 8 years sent out the best part of 90,000 pieces of music packaging. They were all hand assembled by me, and the majority of which were also hand cut, hand creased and glued by me, with a scalpel and ruler and a variety of these tools. I handled every step of the process, from design to manufacture, running the website, running the socials, packing up orders, sending them out, just everything in between, everything involved in running a business. I've had this channel for 16 years now, and it's been neglected for the best part of the last decade. And bringing ACD Sleeve back in 2026, I want to do something about that. The question I get asked on here the most is about tutorials, is about cutter guides, die lines, nets, questions about glue, questions about card, questions about print. So this is something I've wanted to do for a while, to answer all those, because I know people want to make their own packaging from scratch, and I did that a lot, and I just want to share that knowledge with everyone. So I want to tackle this before ACD Sleeve properly starts again, because I think it could be quite intense when everything's up and running. So I wanted to get everything sorted in the background with that, and now I'm focusing on getting this series of videos out to help you guys make stuff. Initially, I'm going to focus on 3 packaging designs. So these are all designs that I offered previously, exactly how I used to make them. So there's the 2-panel CD slipcase, there's the cassette case, and there's the 4-panel CD case, which has a spine. That can be made in a variety of ways, either with 1 opening for 1 CD, it could have 2 openings. It just gives you a few options, really. There'll be templates on the website which are available to download for free, along with an artwork guide to give you dimensions and a little bit of guidance on how to put things together. But I'll run through all of that in these videos. If these go well, then down the line I will look at doing videos on the pop-up CD case and the double pop-out CD cases, which I designed and developed. I would have lumped these in with what I'm doing now, but they'll take a little bit more time to figure out how to pass that information onto all of you, to make it as straightforward as I can, because they're a bit more complicated, but they're not rocket science. It's a folded card, really. I'm going to split this into 3 videos. The first on tools and equipment, which is this one here. The next on software and artwork creation. The third on printing and card selection. And then following on from that, there'll be a separate video for each of the designs, showing you step by step how to make them. As I mentioned previously, there's a link down below to the ACD Sleeve website, which has links to the files you'll need to put your artwork into, as well as an artwork guide to show you dimensions, panel orientation, and a bit of guidance on there of how to put it together. These are available for free, and as a one-man operation, there is a donate button on there, but I'm not expecting anyone to pay anything. This is just something I've wanted to do for a long time, to share this knowledge of hand making everything, because I see a lot of people asking questions, and I've made my fair share of stuff by hand, and I don't need to anymore, which is a brilliant feeling. So I just want to share that information, and if it's of use to some people, then that's great. If you make your next release using these templates, please show me, please email me, send me photos. I'd love to see it. And if the next lot you want to get made professionally, then give me a shout. You know where I am, and hopefully I'll have some interesting ideas that you could package your next release with. So as I mentioned, this first video is about tools and equipment that you'll need to make your packaging. So I think it's worth reiterating that you don't need to spend a lot on this. This is the first scalpel that I had. Call it a scalpel, more of a craft knife. It cost about £2 and I made the first run of 100 pop-up CD cases with this. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but it did the job and it got me to where I am today, I suppose. So I've still got that. I use it just for breaking down boxes, but since then I've exclusively used the Swann Morton Retractaway scalpel blade handle. So it means the blade can be hidden when it's not in use, because I'll leave it lying around and it's just much safer that way. So I've got through maybe 3 of these over the years because they have snapped occasionally on that point there, but it's just a brilliant piece of kit, and I already have 2 in the office just in case I misplace one. So this is purely what I prefer. So I know that Owen Gildersleeve, who is an absolutely incredible paper cutting artist, uses the regular Swann Morton handle with 10A blades, and he just puts a bit of masking tape around there so it's a bit more comfortable to use. But for prolonged use, cutting cardboard, this didn't work for me. So it's all about preference really. There's other brands and they are surgical steel blades, so they're incredibly sharp. So if you need to change it, it's worth using a pair of pliers while you need to realize how much force you need to put on it. But they are great, but just be careful using them. Next we need something to crease the card with, and this is an old woodworking tool that I think used to be my granddad's. It's called a bradawl, and you just use that on the dull side on the reverse of the board to crease the board. First time round I didn't know what to do, so I just used an empty biro, which worked really well. Just anything with a dull edge that you can run along a ruler works really well. Next up, the circle cutter that I used to use. So this is relatively cheap, I think it was. I've used this to cut all the semicircles in all the handmade pieces of packaging. I found that the measurements were slipping a little, so I think that's a combination of melting and hot melt glue, keeping that in place. So that's set at a 15mm radius, and that cuts semicircles really well. And then we need a ruler. Just any old steel ruler does the job. This is, I think, must have been from when I was in high school, and I used this to cut pretty much all the packaging. Since that time, and I've got into structural packaging design, this transparent ruler from Fred Aldous is a lifesaver, because it's really rare to get a transparent one where the dimensions run all the way to the edge. So if I needed to measure up a box to replicate packaging for, this was brilliant. The only slight issue was that the back wore down after prolonged usage, so all this print would come off, but I just fixed that with putting a piece of parcel tape on the reverse side, and I've had this for years now. Oh, and it has a steel edge there, so you can use it for cutting, but predominantly I only really use it for measuring. Next up, this is a strange one. You need a pin. That'll make more sense in a later video. So if you can find one with, I'm not sure what it's called, with the tip on the end. So you'll be using this to pierce holes through the card to show you where you need to crease on the reverse of the board. I just put it in an eraser just so it don't lose it, because I lost a lot of them. Onto glue. So the first run of packaging I made was made with this Bostik solvent all-purpose glue. It did the job, but the fumes drove me a little bit crazy. So basically any glue will do the job. PVA is the industry standard, but the issue with that is it takes a long time to set and you have to apply a lot of pressure. So if you're doing a run of 100 CD cases, you need a lot of space to lay them out so they'll dry evenly and well. So I did 1 or 2 runs using this, and then one of my friend's mums told me about the 3M ATG tape gun, which is this beauty. So this is about 16 years old now. This is the first one that I had. It takes double-sided tape using 904 3M tape. It sets instantly. It's pretty much permanent. Almost every single piece of packaging was glued with this. I still use it today, and I've actually got 3 of them on the go at the minute because there's various strengths of tape that I now need for doing vinyl packaging. There's a different thickness of tape that I need for doing cassette packaging, and vinyl packaging uses a really thin gluing tab. So I need 3 set up that I can just pick and choose through to do everything that I need it to. This is expensive, but if you're thinking of doing a lot, then have a look on eBay. You could probably pick one up for about £15. The tape is quite expensive, but the time it'll save you is really, it's worth it. So one last thing that I use that I can't imagine anyone will need is a micrometer. So one thing I learned when I was finding out about structural packaging design is that the thickness of card measured in micron is the way that you need to work to. Because if you go by the GSM, which is the standard that I knew, you could get a 350 GSM board that is one amount of micron, and then you could get another that is 150 micron more, and when you make it up, it could feel the difference in feeling flimsy and feeling like a brick. So I have to work to microns now. So this micrometer is something that whenever I'm getting new board in, I have to check it to make sure the thickness it's at is roughly where I need it to be, so everything works how I need it to. That is the basics of the equipment that you need. So realistically, I would only use this top row. I still use the scalpel, still use ruler, obviously scalpel blades and the tape gun. And then the rest of it is just finding what fits with what you need.